Hello and welcome to the new series of Drishti IAS. I am Pooja Divedi, and in this segment today we are going to discuss about India and citizenship. This topic is important from the perspective of prelims and also from the perspective of GS Mains paper 2. So let's begin with why news. Now, as the Citizenship Amendment Act rules are still on hold, Centre has opened similar citizenship window in 5 states, and the notification has listed Hindus, Sikhs, Buddhists, Jain, Parsis, Christians as the communities that will be covered under this new opening of windows, and it also states that the applications will have to be submitted online. That means digitization of records for further purposes. Moving on, 13 districts of Gujarat, Chhattisgarh, Rajasthan, Haryana, Punjab to accept, verify and approve citizenship applications from members of minority communities hailing from Pakistan, Afghanistan and Bangladesh. The districts are listed as here: Morbi, Rajkot, Patan, Vadodara from Gujarat, Durg and Baloda Bazar from Chhattisgarh, Jalore, Udaipur, Pali, Barmer and Sirohi from Rajasthan, Faridabad from Haryana and Jalandhar from Punjab. And it is also granted similar powers to the Home Secretaries of Haryana and Punjab except from Faridabad and Jalandhar. And Hindus, Sikhs, Buddhists, Jains, Parsis and Christians and not Muslims are the communities that will be covered. And the order has been issued under Citizenship Act of 1955 and Citizenship Rules of 2009, which we'll discuss after a later point of time. Now, a similar notification had been issued in 2018 as well for the other districts in several states. The verification of the application under this new address is done simultaneously by the collector or the secretary, as the case may be, and at the district level and the state level and the application. Moving ahead, let's talk about what is citizenship. Citizenship, that means a person has the right to live, has the right to vote and take the benefits as well as fulfill his or her duty in a country and of a country. Citizenship is listed in the Union list under the Constitution and thus is under the exclusive jurisdiction of the Parliament. States cannot make any law when it comes to a subject in the Union list. The Constitution does not define the term citizen, right? But details of various categories of persons who are entitled to citizenship are given in Part 2. That means from Article 5th to Article 11. Now, the Constitution is mum on who a citizen of India is, but different categories have been provided for those who can apply to be citizen of our country. Unlike other provisions of the Constitution, which came into being on the 26th of January 1950, the Republic Day when it all started, these articles were enforced on November 26, 1949 itself, the result of partition, when the Constitution was adopted. The Citizenship Act 1955 provides for the acquisition and determination. That means to acquire citizenship, to become a citizen of one country, and determination. That means how to ascertain a person is a citizen of India or not. Acquisition and determination of Indian citizenship in 4 ways. It happens in 4 ways: by birth, descent, registration, and naturalization. This provision is listed under the Citizenship Act of 1955. By birth, every person who is born in India on, that means on this date, or after, that means after this date, but before 1st of July 1987 is an Indian citizen, irrespective of the nationality of his her parents. That means, suppose if your parents are British citizens by birth and descent, but you have been born in India on 26th January 1950, but before 1st of July 1987 in India, then you are an Indian citizen. Every person born in India between 1st of July 1987 and 2nd of December 2004 is a citizen of India, given either of his or her parent is a citizen of the country at the time of his or her birth. So people who are born in this range, the father or the mother, either of them should be Indian at the time of the birth of the person. They shouldn't have gotten citizenship of some other country. One of the two. Every person born in India on or after 3rd of December 2004 is a citizen of the country given both his parents are Indians. Now, here, after this particular date, on or after this particular date, if you are born in India, only then you are an Indian citizen by birth when both your parents are Indian, or at least one parent is a citizen and the other is not an illegal migrant at the time of the birth. This is very interesting. Moving ahead, by registration, citizenship can be acquired by registration. Some mandatory rules for them are: a person of Indian origin who has been a resident of India for 7 years before applying for registration. A person of, now whatever I am reading through, whatever I am making you understand is under the Citizenship Act of 1955. Keep this in mind. Without amendments, alright? A person of Indian origin who is a resident of any country outside undivided India. That means including the parts of present day Pakistan and Bangladesh. A person who is married to an Indian citizen and is ordinarily resident for 7 years before applying for registration, and minor children of persons who are citizens of India. By descent, a person born outside India on or after January 26, 1950 is a citizen of India by descent. That means the ascendants of the person may be a citizen of India. Alright. So the father of the person born outside India on or after January 26, 1950 will be a citizen of India by birth. But the father should be Indian. A person born outside India on or after December 10, 1992 but before December 3rd, 2004, if either of his or her parent was a citizen of India by birth. If a person born outside India or after December 3rd, 2004 has to acquire citizenship. That means the person has to apply for citizenship and his or her parents have to declare that the minor does not hold a passport of any other country and his or her birth is registered. Keep in mind, is registered at an Indian consulate within 1 year of the birth. Because in India, dual citizenship is not given. You can't be a citizen of India. At the same time, you can't be a citizen of some other country. Either you are an Indian citizen by passport and nationality, or you are Canadian, suppose. You can't be a citizen of two countries when you are a citizen of India. Moving ahead, by naturalization, a person can acquire citizenship by naturalization if he or she is ordinarily resident of India for 12 years throughout 12 months preceding the date of application and 11 years in aggregate. That means the person should be an ordinary resident of India for 12 years and should be a resident of India for throughout the 12 months before applying for Indian citizenship. Now that means when in this 12 years, the person can reside in India, be a citizen of some other country and still reside in India like that. But before applying for citizenship, when it comes to naturalization, the person should reside in India for 12 months continually. Alright, moving ahead. CAA 2019, the Citizenship Amendment Act of 2019, the bill amends the act to provide that Hindus, Sikhs, Buddhists, Jains, Parsis, Christians from Afghanistan, Bangladesh and Pakistan who entered India on or before December 31st, 2014 will not be treated as illegal migrants. And in order to get this benefit, they must also be exempted from Foreigners Act of 1946 and the Passport Act of 1920 by the central government. That means if any person belonging to these certain categories from these certain countries who have entered before this date, they will not be treated as illegal migrants because the intent of this particular Amendment Act was to provide citizenship to the persecuted minorities of these communities in such countries. That is the entire intent. Why? Because these minorities are said to be persecuted because of partition. They were a minority in such countries and that is why they were being persecuted as they were minorities and they have sought refuge in India. So they are still living as illegal immigrants. This is the intent, that they have to be provided citizenship because they are persecuted and they might be safer here in India. Citizenship by registration or naturalization. This act allows a person to apply for citizenship by registration or naturalization if the person meets certain qualification. And to obtain citizenship by naturalization, one of the qualifications is that the person must have resided in India or have been in the service of the central government. Two criterias. For at least 11 years before applying for citizenship. And the bill creates an exception for Hindus, Sikhs, Buddhists, Jains, Parsis, Christians from these countries, Afghanistan, Bangladesh and Pakistan. I am repeating the name of the countries and I am repeating the name of the communities because you need to learn those. For these groups of persons, the 11 years requirement will be reduced to 5 years here, right? Keep this in mind. On acquiring citizenship, such persons will be deemed to be citizens of India from the date of their entry into India, from the back date. Retrospectively, this act will come into practice, and all legal proceedings against them in respect of their illegal migration or citizenship will be closed. These provisions on citizenship for illegal migrants will not apply to the tribal areas of Assam, Meghalaya, Mizoram, Tripura, included in the 6th schedule of the Constitution, because in order to safeguard the cultural homogeneity of these particular areas. These tribal areas include Karbi Anglong, Garo Hills, Chakma district and Tripura tribal area district. Further, it will not apply to the inner line areas notified under the Bengal Eastern Frontier Regulation 1873. Can you please tell me where does the inner line permit apply right now? Now, cancellation of, yes, this is very important, cancellation of registration of OCIs. Now, this act provides that the central government may cancel the registration of OCI on certain grounds. These include if the OCI has been registered through fraud, if within 5 years of registration, the OCI has been sentenced to imprisonment for 2 years or more, if it becomes necessary in the interest of the sovereignty and security of India to cancel the OCI. This has also been added to the Citizenship Act. Let's try to focus on NRC here, that is National Register of Citizens. NRC 1951 is a register prepared after the conduct of the census of 1951 in respect of each village, showing the houses or holdings in a serial order and indicating against each house or holding the number and names of persons staying therein. The intent behind it, the government needs to know, the state needs to know that how many people are living in a particular region, and it is the responsibility entrusted with the central government to identify and detect illegal migrants and thereafter follow the due process of law. The Foreigners Act of 1946 has conferred upon the government the power to expel foreigners from India. It vests the central government with an absolute and unfettered discretion. Here, this act of 1946 has vested the power absolute. That means it can't be challenged, and unfettered, that means nobody can interfere. And there is no provision fettering this discretion in the Constitution as well. An unrestricted right to expel remains. Moving ahead, there are certain controversies which are relevant with the Citizenship Amendment Act. First is the issues in the Northeast. Now, it contradicts the Assam Accords of 1985, which states that illegal migrants, irrespective of religion, heading in from Bangladesh after March 25, 1971 would be deported. Now, this goes against this. The Citizenship Amendment Act goes against the Assam Accord. Critics also argue that it is violative of Article 14 of the Constitution, right to equality. If you are providing citizenship to Jains, Parsis, Buddhists and Hindus, Sikhs, why not provide refuge and citizenship rights to such communities who are not listed as minorities in those respective countries but are still persecuted because they may belong to the same religion but different subsection? This is the second issue. India has several other refugees that include Tamils from Sri Lanka and Hindu Rohingyas from Myanmar. Now, because of their religious faith, we can call, they still are having issues with respect to getting citizenship because they are not listed under the Citizenship Amendment Act when we talk about Rohingyas from Myanmar. And the bill throws the light on the religious oppression that has happened and is happening in these three countries, and that will of course have an effect on the bilateral ties. Moving ahead, let's talk about the conclusion. What to do when we are faced with such a big challenge. India is a civilization that spans thousands of years, and India has a civilization duty to protect those who are persecuted in the neighborhood. Civilization duty, that means since the beginning of the era, India has been a place where cultures meet, new people interact with other set of new people. So it's brewing with cultural spices. So India needs to have a duty towards those people who have been residing in India since ages through their ancestors. So we have a duty to protect them and also provide refuge to those who sought refuge, who seek refuge in India, right? But the methods must be in accordance and with the spirit of the constitution. And further, the people of the Northeast should be engaged more constructively because they form a very important part of India. They are gateway to the India's Act East and Look East policy. So they should be engaged constructively and convince them that linguistic, cultural, and social identity of the people of the region would be preserved and not threatened. And try to engage them more in order to remove the xenophobia. Xenophobia means the phobia of foreigners coming in and taking over their cultural aspects, linguistic aspects. This should be removed. Moving on to the question, Citizenship Amendment Act of 2019 gets into conflict with India's constitutional values and poses a challenge to internal security and foreign policy front. You have to comment on it. Alright? So that's it for today. Tomorrow we shall meet again with another segment. Until then, stay updated, stay safe, and thank you so much for watching.